The 41st verse of the Tao Te Ching. Quote, "A great scholar hears of the Tao and begins diligent practice. A middling scholar hears of the Tao and retains some and loses some. An inferior scholar hears of the Tao and roars with ridicule. Without that laugh, it would not be the Tao." So there are constructive sayings on this. The way of illumination seems dark. Going forward seems like retreat. The easy way seems hard. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is hidden and nameless. The Tao alone nourishes and brings everything to fulfillment. Unquote. Living beyond appearances. This verse of the Tao Te Ching influenced my choice for the title of this book. By changing your thoughts so that they harmonize with the Tao, you'll see what you've called reality is in fact an outward form, an appearance only. In the beginning, your new way of regarding oneness is clouded by old, ego-inspired habits. What you've been accustomed to still resonates within you as real, and your Tao-inspired world may not be consistently recognizable. But you will begin to look beyond what only seems to be your truth and move into a direct experience of the Tao, uncluttered by your previously limited views. Re-listen to the first section of this 41st verse of the Tao Te Ching, noticing your response. Ask yourself whether you're a great, middling, or an inferior scholar when it comes to understanding and applying the wisdom of the Tao. For example, I can unabashedly proclaim myself a great scholar after so many years spent studying and writing it. And the more I've studied, the more diligently I've practiced. I've become highly attuned to the infinite variety of daily opportunities to employ these principles of the Tao. As you examine your own thoughts, you may discover an aspect of yourself that wants to learn how to utilize these ancient teachings. Thus, you can move from being a person who knew very little about the Tao, and might even have ridiculed it, to being a great scholar. The application of the Tao each day determines the greatness of a scholar, rather than whether he or she intellectually understands these paradoxical-sounding concepts. Lao Tzu points out that without the ridiculing laughter of inferior scholars, the Tao couldn't even exist. Talk about paradoxical concepts. In A Warrior Blends with Life, a Modern Tao, Michael Latorre comments on this 41st verse. Quote, "The way is only attractive to those who are already wise enough to know how foolish they are. Sarcastic laughter from other fools who believe themselves wise does not deter the truly wise from following the way. Following the way, they do not become complicated, extraordinary, and prominent. Rather, they become simple, ordinary, and subtle." Unquote. As you elect to live the Tao each day, what you experience within and around you will be different from what it appears to be today. You will go way beyond surfaces into the blissful world of the Tao, and it's vital that you choose to stay in this truth regardless of how it all seems. Others will make fun of you, but remember the paradox that without that ridiculing laughter, it wouldn't even be the Tao. You'll experience times of darkness, but your new vision will eventually illuminate your inner world. And when it seems as though you're moving backward, remember that the Tao is hidden and nameless. If it was knocking at your door or readily accessible like a pill to swallow, it wouldn't be the Tao. So when life looks difficult, stop and realize that you're only one thought removed from being at peace. You'll know what Lao Tzu meant when he said that the easy way seems hard, and true power seems like weakness. You don't have to struggle or dominate others in order to feel strong. A person in the Tao sees the world quite differently, knowing that inner peace is power. Less effort is actually easier. Work gets done when you lighten up internally and let yourself be moved along by the ceaseless Tao, rather than by setting goals or meeting standards that are set by others anyway. Allow the Tao and see the purity and clarity that originates from this vantage point. The outward appearance of anyone or anything may appear tarnished, but a Tao view will remind you that essential goodness is always there. It's hidden and nameless, though, so don't be obsessed with finding it and labeling it. In this way, you become a great scholar who diligently works to live in harmony with the Tao, even though it remains obscure. Apply this same insight to the times you feel unloved. When you see what appears to be indifference, know in your heart that love is present. The Tao isn't concerned with proving its fidelity. It appears to be uninterested, but it's nevertheless always there, everywhere. As your thinking changes from a position dictated by your ego to one that transcends it, you'll see an illuminated world that is truly inviting. Ego convinced you to see a cold and indifferent planet, while the ego-transcending Tao shines pure love to all that you're connected to. Allow it to work its magic in your life. This is what Lao Tzu seems to be instructing as I sit here right now, asking how might I serve those who read my book or listen to this program. First, be diligent. You're not an inferior scholar of Tao if you're just listening to these words. So if you're a middling scholar who retains some and loses some of this wisdom, make a commitment to work toward your own greatness. Just practice a few of these insights each day. Be diligent about it. Set aside your inclination to be puzzled or argumentative, and allow yourself the freedom to be a persistent practitioner. Even a small thing such as an affirmation or a rereading of a verse each day puts you on the path of living according to the Great Way. Lao Tzu simply says to live it by zealously practicing these insights. Here are some lines from Walt Whitman to remind you that you're not who you really appear to be. Quote, "Oh, I could sing such grandeurs and glories about you. You have not known what you are. You have slumbered upon yourself all your life. Your eyelids have been the same as closed most of the time. Whoever you are, claim your own at any hazard. These shows of the East and the West are tame compared to you. These immense meadows, these interminable rivers, you are immense and interminable as they are." Unquote. The Tao truth is unprovable in physical terms. Let go of your conditioned way of needing proof in the physical world before something becomes your truth. The Tao is hidden permanently, and it cannot be named, so accept this as a fact. You're not going to find it in a material form. It has no boundaries, and the moment you try to name it, you've lost it. Re-listen to the very first verse. Just as modern scientists must accept the fact that quantum particles originate in waves of formless energy or spirit, without their ever seeing that infinite all-creating field, so too can you let go of your need to see and touch the Tao before you can believe it. By changing the way you look at the world, you'll see a realm beyond the appearances of darkness, difficulty, weakness, indifference, and death. As the poet Rainier Maria Rilke observed, quote, "Behind the world our names enclose is the nameless, our true archetype and home." Unquote. Do the Tao now. Spend an hour with a child today, taking note of how much wisdom is embodied in what appears to be juvenile behavior and beliefs. Notice his or her fascination with seemingly insignificant items, repeating the same senseless phrase, tantrums, or laughter. Jot down your impressions of the wisdom behind such so-called childish impulses, and vow to be a kid again as frequently as possible.